Welcome to Fulcrum Intel Digest, the podcast.
Today, we're really getting into something quite heavy, but incredibly important. The whole complex world of extremist recruitment and radicalization.
It really is, and we're aiming to go deeper than the usual headlines.
Exactly. We've been spending a lot of time with this really insightful analysis from Fulcrum Analytics. It's a report authored by their chief intelligence analyst, Alwyn Swart. Very thorough.
Very thorough, yes. It lays out the nuances in a way you don't often see.
Right. So our mission for you listening is to move past just knowing that it happens. We want to genuinely try and understand how individuals get drawn into these ideologies.
You know, what motivates them?
What drives them? Yeah, the strategies these groups use, which are, frankly, incredibly sophisticated, and maybe most importantly, what can actually be done about it?
It's about understanding the human element, not just the political labels.
We cover more topics like this every Monday and Friday. So if you'd like to stay up to date, click the subscribe button and give this video a like. Now let's jump in.
Okay, let's unpack this then.
It's definitely vital we dig into this properly. Like you said, superficial takes, they just don't help when you're trying to figure out effective prevention. And Swart's analysis for Fulcrum, it doesn't just list facts. It meticulously shows the different layers involved. It forces you to see it's not a simple issue at all.
It really highlights the strategic thinking, doesn't it?
A chilling level of it, yeah.
So let's start there. What exactly is radicalization, according to this report? And maybe more to the point, who are these groups actually zeroing in on?
Right, because it's not just a definition they give, it's about a deliberate process.
Oh, process.
Exactly. Swart defines it not as some sudden switch, but this gradual process. Individuals slowly adopt extremist beliefs, which, can eventually lead to violence.
Gradually, okay.
But the really fascinating part is how targeted it is. They're not just like shouting into the void.
No random chance involved.
Not at all. They're actively looking for specific vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Often it taps into that really deep human need for belonging, for purpose.
A sense of belonging. So it's targeted, like you said, not random. The report gets specific about demographics, doesn't it? Who are we talking about here?
It does. It pinpoints adolescents and young adults, particularly, say, teens to early 20s, as being pretty susceptible.
Why them specifically?
Well, it's often that stage of life, isn't it? That search for identity, for connection, finding your place. It makes them perhaps more open to influence.
Makes sense.
University students also come up. They're often very active online, maybe more open to exploring new, sometimes radical ideas.
And it's not just about age, is it? The report talks about specific vulnerabilities they exploit almost surgically.
Precisely. It goes beyond just feeling a bit lost. Swart points to individuals facing real economic hardship or social marginalization, maybe a deep sense of disenfranchisement.
Okay.
But it's how the groups use this. They don't just offer, say, a handout. They offer a powerful narrative.
A story.
A story of purpose, of belonging. They frame themselves as the solution to whatever injustice, real or perceived, that person feels. Imagine feeling totally cut off, and someone offers you not just help, but meaning and a group that gets you.
That's a powerful draw.
Extremely powerful.
Yeah. And this is where it gets really quite alarming, I think. The evolution of these methods, especially online. The report really emphasizes this shift to digital.
Oh, massively.
And it's not just broad propaganda, is it? It mentions how young women, specifically, get targeted on social media with these really insidious grooming tactics.
It is insidious, and it works because it taps into, basic human psychology and social dynamics.
How so?
These grooming tactics, they're not overt coercion. It's this sustained, manipulative effort. Building trust online, creating emotional dependency. They often offer this intense sense of validation or maybe an idealized identity that the person feels they're lacking in their offline life. It's slow, it's deliberate, it's like a seduction, really, presenting extremism as the answer to those deep needs.
Wow. So, okay, they've identified someone vulnerable, maybe started that online grooming. How do they actually pull them in psychologically, get them fully on board?
It really comes back to that search for identity and belonging we mentioned.
Right.
These groups offer something very clear-cut. A stark worldview, maybe black and white, and a community, a really tight-knit one.
So it provides structure.
Structure, purpose, social connection, things that might be missing from their life otherwise. Think about it, a place where you feel not just accepted, but celebrated for joining the cause.
So it's less about the specific points of the ideology at first, and more about the feeling it gives you.
Often, yes. And the report details how recruiters use emotional manipulation. They forge these really strong bonds.
How do they do that?
Well, they start by empathizing. They listen to grievances. They validate feelings, anger, injustice, whatever it is. They make the person feel truly heard.
Understood.
Exactly. And then very gradually, almost imperceptibly at first, they introduce the extremist ideas as the solution to those problems.
Oh, okay.
And this whole process, it preys on those existing vulnerabilities we talked about, feeling alienated, resentful, maybe having low self-worth. It's like they carefully fan those flames.
And then there's this concept you mentioned, cognitive dissonance. How does that fit in?
Right, cognitive dissonance. For anyone listening who isn't familiar, it's basically that uncomfortable mental clash you get when new beliefs or actions conflict with your old values or reality.
Okay.
So once someone's engaged with the group, if they start having doubts, maybe something feels wrong, instead of leaving, they often double down.
To make the discomfort go away.
Precisely. To ease that mental tension, they rationalize, they justify the group's views. They become more committed, not less. It's a powerful psychological trap, almost self-reinforcing.
And if we link this psychology to the bigger picture, Swart's analysis makes it clear it's not just about individuals, right? There are these broader social, economic forces at play, too.
Absolutely. It's a much wider net. These groups are incredibly savvy about using existing social networks.
Like friends and family.
Friends, family, acquaintances who are already involved, they become insider recruiters. And that works because there's pre-existing trust. If someone you know recommends something,
You're more likely to listen.
much more likely, it bypasses that initial skepticism.
And the economic angle.
That's a huge driver, too. Economic hardship, social inequality, these aren't just background issues. Recruiters actively leverage them.
How? By offering money.
Sometimes, yes, offering financial support or even just the promise of empowerment to marginalized people. They present the group as the solution to systemic problems, the way out.
And political grievances?
Definitely exploited. Real or perceived injustices, feelings of being disenfranchised, disillusioned. They tap right into that. They offer these grand narratives of resistance, promise radical change, painting themselves as the only ones truly fighting back.
It really sounds like they offer something incredibly, well, simple. A clear, black and white picture in a world that feels very gray and complicated.
That's a huge part of the appeal. The analysis explains how these ideologies present simplistic, often binary solutions to incredibly complex problems.
That must be tempting for people looking for clarity.
Very tempting. They offer moral certainty, a sense of righteousness. That's attractive if you're craving clear rules or a strong purpose.
And the report mentions this heroic figures narrative.
Yes. The groups often portray themselves as heroes, fighting oppression, fighting injustice. This appeals to that desire some people have for heroism, maybe even martyrdom. It sets up this powerful good versus evil dynamic.
Simplifies everything.
Exactly. A clear enemy, a righteous cause. Very compelling, especially if people feel lost or angry about the state of the world.
Which brings us squarely into the modern age. How has technology, the internet, our whole digital life, how has that amplified all this?
Oh, dramatically. The report calls the online space an increasingly significant battlefield.
A battlefield for minds.
Absolutely. These platforms are just incredibly fertile ground for spreading propaganda, for connecting with potential recruits globally, instantly.
And what's really surprising, or maybe disturbing, is the role of video games that the report mentions.
Yeah, that often raises eyebrows. Video games, how?
What did the report find there?
Well, there's concern about games that let players simulate violence, potentially blurring lines. But more specifically, terrorist groups have actively exploited the culture around violent multiplayer games. First-person shooters, their imagery. It's sometimes called gaming jihad.
Gaming jihad. What does that actually mean in practice?
It's not just playing the games. It's using the visual language, the narratives, the online communities within those games to spread their message, to recruit.
Can you give an example? It's hard to picture.
Sure. A really stark example from the report is an ISIS propaganda film from 2014.
Okay.
It was deliberately designed to look and feel like popular games, Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, the graphics, the interface, the whole aesthetic.
Why? What was the goal?
The explicit goal was to appeal directly to young gamers, to glorify their violence, make it seem like an exciting, heroic adventure by using a medium they already understood and engaged with.
That's a chilling level of sophistication. Understanding pop culture that deeply.
It really is. And it's not just ISIS. The report also mentions Hezbollah developing their own video games.
Their own games.
Yeah, where players fight against opposing forces, from Hezbollah's perspective, of course. It just shows how multifaceted this is, how adaptable these groups are. They understand contemporary culture. They know where young people are spending their time online.
They meet them where they are.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is all quite heavy. Given how sophisticated and multifaceted these methods are, what can actually be done? How do we counter this effectively? Because it clearly isn't simple.
No, definitely not simple. And there's no single magic bullet. The report stresses it has to be a multifaceted approach, combining prevention with strategic interventions.
Okay, so what does prevention look like?
Well, several key things. Firstly, fostering real community engagement and social cohesion. That means actively supporting programs that promote inclusion, that offer positive alternatives.
Like what kind of programs?
Things like youth programs, community centers, genuine interfaith dialogue. Stuff that builds resilience by giving people a strong, positive sense of belonging before extremists can offer a distorted version. Building strong foundations within communities. Makes sense. What else?
Education is crucial, but not just awareness. Teaching critical thinking skills is key. Empowering people to spot manipulation, to question sources, to understand the psychological plays we've discussed.
Giving them the tools to see through it.
Exactly. And then there's addressing the economic inequalities. Swart's analysis really connects the dots there, providing real economic opportunities, fostering inclusive development that reduces the appeal of groups preying on hardship.
Takes away their recruitment fuel.
It certainly helps. If people have hope and real prospects, those extremist promises sound pretty hollow.
And the online aspect. The digital battlefield.
That needs a digital response, obviously. Developing strategic communication, creating effective counter-narratives, promoting alternative viewpoints online. It's about competing in that space.
Fighting fire with fire, in a way.
In a constructive way, yes. And finally, early intervention and support are vital. Psychological help, community programs for people identified as being at risk, providing an off-ramp before they get too far down that path.
And underpinning all this practical stuff, I imagine you need strong legal and policy frameworks.
That's the essential foundation, yes. Implementing and actually enforcing laws against extremist recruitment and propaganda. That includes things like hate speech rules, online content moderation, tricky but necessary.
And cooperation.
Yeah.
These groups don't respect borders.
Absolutely critical. Enhanced international cooperation, sharing intelligence, sharing best practices, and also looking at the justice system, making sure it addresses root causes, provides access to rehabilitation, and all comes back to that complex interplay, doesn't it? Psychological, social, economic, tech, ideology. You need a comprehensive approach hitting all those angles.
Wow. That really was a deep dive. It peels back so many layers on how these groups operate. It's clear that just knowing about them isn't enough. Understanding the how is essential if we want to develop effective prevention. It really underlines the need to tackle those underlying vulnerabilities, foster resilience through real support networks, and encourage that critical thinking about ideologies. Building stronger foundations, really.
It does, and maybe this leaves you, the listener, with a question to chew on. Given how well these groups understand psychology, how skillfully they exploit every tool available, how can we, as individuals, as communities, proactively build a sense of belonging and purpose that's so compelling, so authentic, that it basically inoculates people against this extremist allure before the recruiters even get a chance?
A powerful question.
It's a challenge, right? It requires ongoing thought, ongoing engagement with these really complex issues, not just defensively, but as a positive project, building a stronger, more connected society for everyone.